Microsoft Edge has been with us for nearly 3 years now. The initial release was on July the 29th, 2015. And if I can plagiarize Wikipedia for the purposes of the beginning of this video, it is, according to Microsoft, designed to be a lightweight web browser with a layout engine built around web standards. It has new features, maybe not so new anymore, including integration with Cortana, annotation tools, yep, we use those all the time, and a reading mode. And it doesn't support any of the ActiveX stuff that I used to, and for those of you who are understandably confused by the logo, Microsoft Edge is not Internet Explorer. It is a completely different browser. It has nothing to do with Internet Explorer, even though you would obviously think that it does. So recently at work, we've done some changes. That's what businesses do. And a bad side of those changes is that we can no longer use other browsers on our laptops. We can only use Internet Explorer or Edge. We can't use Chrome anymore, and we can't use Firefox anymore, or we can't use Opera or anything else. So for the last week, I've been stuck with Edge. And I've never used it before, but I wanted to go over today a couple of the bad things, a couple of the things that have really started to bug me just after a week of using it. So these are a few reasons why you may choose not to use Edge. Now, you can see here, it's on the screen, it's a nice looking browser. It's very clean, it's very minimal in its design, nice sharp edges, very kind of current design. That's a really good thing going for it. Initially, on the version that I'm using on my work computer, there were a few things that I picked up that you couldn't even edit favorites to start with. I mean, they have changed this now, so you couldn't go to one of my favorites here. I zoom in on these favorites here. I couldn't go here, right click and do edit URL. They've added that in more recently, but I can't do that on the version I currently have on my laptop. It's a crazy thing that the only thing you could do was actually remove and re-add, but they've added that, so good. It's being developed, that's good. There was no full screen option either. You couldn't do the standard F11 as you can with many browsers and do a full screen option. But again, they've added that, so that's good as well. You know, fantastic. They seem to be making some progress. So the first of the things that still exists around the sort of niggles that I really don't like about this browser is that on the favorites bar at the top here, you can only have the icons or the name. You can't have a mixture of both. So if I have a folder here where I have some favorites, I want to leave them with the name because I've got plenty of space within that folder. But on here, I want to rename them and I want to put the name as nothing. It won't let me do that. But I can, of course, right click on here and do show icons only, if you know what I mean. So it doesn't give me any choice around which ones I choose to have the names on. Secondly, Zoom is not saved on a page-by-page basis. So if I go to BBC News, and I hope this works because knowing my luck, this will probably fail. So if I go to BBC News and I decide I want this to be bigger, so I want this to be up at 150%. If I now go back to Google, oh, well, Google's at 150% as well. No, I want my Zoom settings saved on a page-by-page basis. There are sites that are tiny, and I might push the zoom up to 150 or even 200% on certain sort of outdated sites that still use tiny text. You don't seem to be able to do that. I mean, maybe if I'm signed in or something, it might save those settings, but it doesn't do it as standard. Not very good as far as I'm concerned. I have to manually change that back to 100%. If I'm getting any of this wrong, by the way, as I say, I've only been using this for a week, so someone might like to point me in the right direction and say, yeah, you can do that, it's brilliant. The sync on this browser is kind of strange. It seems to link back to Internet Explorer in some ways, which seems an odd path for it to take. It's syncing between devices is so clear in Chrome. You sync your history, you sync your history between devices, you sync, all the syncs are done between people, all your favorites are synced. It's completely odd in Edge. Some things will sync, but it really isn't that clear what's going to sync between one device and another. Another thing that's bad about this is Webm there's no Webm support. In fact, general HTML5 support is bad in the browser. I don't know about other standards. I don't know about web standards across the board, but HTML5 support is terrible. If we go to the HTML5 test.com site and we run a test on the browser, we get 471 out of 555 points. And if we zoom in here on this section, you'll see that no support for Webm video at all in Edge. Still, if I just open up Opera here, for example, nice browser, Opera. Underrated browser, I think, Opera. Underused and underappreciated. I could be speaking out of turn there. I mean, maybe there's a massive fan base out there, but it's not something I hear enough about. So here we go. HTML5 test, 528 versus 471 in Edge. The next thing, well, I wrote on my sheet here, Bing bloody Bing. And the reason I wrote that is because if I go to, let's go to my own webpage and have a look here. And if I go down, oh, in fact, I'll just go to these sections here. Sonos, let's just hover over here, do a right click, and everything, even though I've changed my default browser back to Google, all the menus relate to ask Bing about Sonos should you throw away your Hi-Fi. Why on earth would I want to ask Bing about anything? Simply the name is enough to put me off. So I'm not going to ask Bing, please remove this from my menu. Maybe there's a way to do that with the registry somehow. Maybe there's some tricks, there's some extensions in the limited extensions that exist for this browser. Maybe there's something where I can do that. But the fact that these still exist just bugs me for some reason. And the final one, you know, these are things that you really notice when you're using it. When you're using it as a tool at work to get stuff done, this is not kind of me looking for faults here. This is stuff where I've just gone, I can't do it. When I go to, so I'm on this website here. When I click home, which I've set to Google, and I start typing, well, it's not selected in here. I have to click into here, or I could probably tab into here to start typing. If you go to Chrome, let me just jump into Chrome quickly and show you what I mean. Let's do exactly the same thing in Chrome, but I'm pretty sure you get what I'm saying here. So if I go to my website here, oh, I think that probably loaded a bit quicker, didn't it? And go to Google, look, the cursor, let's zoom right in on the cursor, because the cursor is already there. I can start typing the second I hit the home button because it's there ready for me to type. I don't have to make that extra step to get into this box to start typing into Google. Yeah, I'm waiting to see what other little bits and pieces I can find that I don't like about Edge. But it's pretty quick and it looks nice and it's got potential, I guess. But for a browser that's coming on and coming into the market and has so much other experience to sort of take from, you know, the wonderful things that Firefox and Chrome have done to the browser experience, they could just sort of take those on board and say, oh yeah, well, obviously we have to do that. And they seem to have just ignored it. Anyway, just my thoughts on why I don't want to use Edge, but currently I kind of have to. So stuck with it. I'll have to get used to it. Thanks for watching, and if you can think of any more, or if you can help me fix any of the ones that I've discussed today, then please let me know in the comments.